Fabian Speaks, man, back again with a video, man. We chopping it up with the people, man. So today's video, man, life is getting harder. Life is only harder. What are you doing about it? And I kind of want to touch base on this and talk about this topic, man, because life is only getting harder, right? Inflation, the economy, things changing, produce, the cost of produce going up, things of that sort. But what are you doing about that? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't think they have control over certain things. A lot of people are naturally bots and just want to fall in line. But I preface the question because you have to adapt, man. And I think only certain people will adapt. Let me start there. It's got to be a certain mindset, right? Because we got people out here who really don't care to do much. They could sit on their ass all day. They could talk trash. They could be homeless. They could, park outside of a dumpster and just wait for people to throw away goods or food that they don't want so that they can go dumpster diving, right? There's ways that you can live off the land or live off the world. God always going to provide. But that's not my preference, right? I would like to, obviously, you either adapt or you get left behind. But it's kind of a conversation a lot of folks need to gauge and think about. If the cost of living across the country is going up and people are still working minimum wage jobs or not being able to support themselves, right? Obviously, the fact that people aren't able to support themselves off one income is going up, right? A lot of people are not able to support themselves off one income. And when you look at the fact that marriage rates are plummeting, declining, we're having less and less children being born, we're having less and less marriages, and people are reporting the highest rates of unhappiness, that doesn't help the fact that the cost of living is higher, because ideally you would get married, maybe you could live off two incomes, right, under a household, but that ain't even happening. So you got to figure out ways. More and more people have roommates today. You know, like everybody, I'm not a roommates person, man. Give me my own space, my own place. But people are having to adapt, and that's a way to adapt to the climate of the economy today, There's nothing wrong with having a roommate. There's nothing wrong with doing what it takes to, I don't even know if to efficient way to approach living your life, not spending as much money, saving on rent, finding cheaper places to live, maybe not getting a car payment. There's ways to cut costs is what I'm getting at, and that's all part of the adaptation, bruh. That's all a part of adapting to the world we're in. So me personally, there's a lot of things I want to focus on or do to upscale. We're talking about minimum wage. That's not something that you can sustain in the long run. You have a wife and children. Come on, bro. Not that many people are educated. They don't have degrees to use that as a leveraging point when they're actually going into these interviews, applying for jobs. I think COVID really opened the eyes to the masses in the sense of, bro, you got to figure it out, man. If we're going to be dependent on government funds or the government to help us, that's a no-no. You always got to be able to back pocket or put money aside, be able to put yourself in a position to where you could walk away from the workforce, to be able to say that I could put myself up for X amount of years. And I think a lot of times that's good. It's healthy. It allows us to re-strategize, rethink, refocus, not deplete our energy, and pretty much align with what we're meant to be aligned with. When you got people living paycheck to paycheck, you have no option. You are forced to stay with the company. Good, bad, ugly. You could be getting treated in the worst way as an employee. You have no say-so in terms of what your next move is because you depend on them to feed you, to pay your bills. You know what I'm saying? That's a tough position to be in because you could be in the worst job in the world. And what are you going to do? At that point, it's like they own you. You know what I'm saying? So if more people had the mindset, and really this video is to encourage more people to have the mindset to think outside the box. Not everybody's built that way. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. But I mean, we're living in an era now, more and more people are remote. You see how the climate is shifting. Not that many people are interactive. Everything's digital. People are on social platforms. Human camaraderie is depleting. Human interaction is depleting in a face-to-face setting. Now it's all online. Everything's digital. Everything's AI. So you gotta shift, you gotta move. Because you got this old mindset, you're gonna get left in the past, left in the sauce. So a lot of people are becoming entrepreneurial minded, business minded. And to touch back on my point about COVID, when people realize that they can't depend on government funding, people were losing their jobs. You know how many businesses were generated from that climate or that season? People became self-sufficient. Wives didn't go back to the workplace. They stayed at home. There's a high percentage of women that didn't even re-enter the workforce. There's a skyrocketed percentage of people who started to work fully remote. So these things, man, you got to do things that are flexible and, they allow for your progression and your prosperity, man. Because if you just go with the flow, man, it's like you a puppet. They're going to fling you left and right, tell you what to do, man. We live in a world to where they want to be able to manipulate you and control you. The people who find a way out already ahead of the game, man. They woke individuals and they already understand that I'm not going to have these parameters put on me, these limitations. Because if you ain't out here making money, it's always a conversation when people say, bro, don't always talk about money. Money ain't everything. It's not everything, but it's a huge thing. Think about it, man. I don't care to be rich, but I do want to be well off. I do want to be able to be comfortable financially, be able to be my own boss. You don't have to be rich to do that. You know what I mean? But you can leverage savings, investments, business ventures in order to carve out that lane. So that's where my mind has shifted to. I've completely given up on the 9-to-5 dynamic, the corporate world dynamic. I think that was the generations prior to us, like your mom, your dad, things of that sort. Those were people who really were took pride on, the blue collar worker folks took pride on the day to day in office. I could spend 20 years under a job, build up my savings, 401k, get my retirement, things of that sort. And I think those times are dead, man. Those times are dead, especially with the millennials and the new generation, the Gen Zers or whatever. It's microwave era. And I'm the last of that dying breed being a millennial, but my mind already is in the microwave era to where things deplete quickly. I don't get excited about things as much as I used to. The focus shifts, call it ADHD or whatever, but the more and more we've advanced in technology and social and digital, the mind has shifted. A modern day kid, you know how many thoughts they're probably conjuring up in a moment? You know how many ideas they have? You know how advanced these kids are? They're far more advanced, and these guys have attention deficit problems. They're not going to pay attention that long. I knew there was a study that was going on for millennials. They would only stay in jobs for a year, and then it was on to the next thing. There was a trend. There was millennials. Imagine the generation now. Them kids are the kids that are actually going to scale up businesses. Them kids are actually, due to the resources and the access they have, these kids, this new wave of children will be the kids that become entrepreneurs. That's what my foresight. They become entrepreneurs at 18, 19, 20. Because the tech, the access, the resources they have, the internet, the online community, they're able to just send a DM, mention somebody on a platform, use the internet to be creative and create content, be an influencer, an artist, upload a video, you go viral. The climate now where these kids have the access and the understanding on virality and XYZ, a lot of these kids are blowing up in their 1920s. You know what I'm saying? So that's a point I haven't really thought about in too much depth, but it's in the understanding of it, how I just detailed it, it's really shifted the climate for the younger generation. A lot of these kids, I think they're going to be far ahead. So a lot of us who've been living in the past and we're kind of the tail end of an era moving on to another era, and we're caught in the middle. I think the millennials are the folks that are caught right in the middle because we're the introduction to the social era. You know what I'm saying? We were there for the shift. I think it's a sweet spot, but you just got to know how to use it to your advantage. So what are you going to do in these current times? I encourage you not to stay the same. Don't be stagnant. Adjust, shift, change, create ideas. Always strive for more, especially when you got kids, man. Always leave your kids in a better position than you was left in. That's my thing, man. My dream is to be able to provide for my family, my personal and external family, not just my my kids and things of that sort, but put everybody in a position to where they can win, because this ain't it. This ain't it. This working a job and I come and then I'm only off on the weekends and I got PTO though. I know I always mention that because that's something that's just within me. Like in terms of me, it doesn't resonate with my spirit. It don't, man. It's like God has put me on this mission to figure out how to get out of this. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, peace, love, prosperity to all of y'all. Comment down below y'all's thoughts, man. I know a lot of people won't agree with this narrative, but I think that if you're not privy to your surroundings and the adjustment of obviously everything going on in modern day society, then you blind. You blind as a bat, man. So, peace, love. We'll catch y'all next time, man. God bless. We out.